You can't buy back time. Every year of a child's education has to be the best that we can give. I feel really strongly about that.
People with dyspraxia can be really creative. They've often had a lifetime's experience of problem solving, of perseverance and resilience.
What is your name?
Alfie.
What is your favourite lesson at school?
English, that's my favourite English. My name is Ethan, I am 8 and my favourite thing is break.
I think life's really challenging if you've got dyspraxia, because it's almost a hidden disability in the sense that if you've got deaf, you've got hearing aids, or if you've got a wheelchair, people can see it. You can't always see it with dyspraxia, and people can think you're just clumsy, or they can think that you're just lazy, or you're just not making enough effort because your work isn't as neat as somebody else's. And it must feel for children who've got dyspraxia that they're coming in and they're just trying to jump through so many hoops every day, and that must be draining.
Dyspraxia affects children's ability to do everyday activities that other children take for granted. Writing is the main means by which children demonstrate their learning, and handwriting is one of the things that people with dyspraxia really struggle with.
What lessons do you think is the hardest?
Maths and English.
Maths and English. Why do you find them the hardest?
It's because they involve so much writing.
A lot of writing.
It affects motor coordination, gross motor skills, so children's ability to balance, to move around the environment without bumping into people or objects, the ability to kick and throw a ball. It can also affect non-motor skills, organisation, planning, attention, time management. Speech is affected in some children too.
I think as a teacher, it's about where is that child having difficulties, what can I do to help them, and putting that provision in place. It's about shifting that child and addressing the barriers to learning.
One of the main things that I would suggest a teacher does is to have a look at how children are sitting. If you've got poor balance and posture, the children will be spending time thinking about how they're sitting and then don't have the brain space to think about learning, listening, communicating. The next one would be to think about where children are sitting in the classroom so that we can minimise distractions but also give them the quiet, no fuss prompts that they need to keep them on track.
Okay, and your eyes looking and your lips closed.
Finally, to think about the tools and equipment that we have available. Having a range of pencils available that any child could use, having a writing slope available for any child to use, that will help the children with dyspraxia, but will also demystify it. These are tools and equipment that are available for everybody. As an occupational therapist, I'm interested in how children manage the everyday activities that occupy them or keep them busy at home, how they manage the things that keep them busy at school, like moving around, writing, doing PE, the things that they do in their spare time or out in the community.
Remember, because this is helping your fingers and your thumb. That's it.
This is really hard.
I know it's quite hard. If I hold the tub for you, that might help. That's one. And remember,
we then think about what we can do to make those activities easier, knowing the challenges that people with dyspraxia have.
Okay. Right, with your left hand, put your left hand up. Good boy. With your thumb and your index finger, can you pinch, please?
If children have a couple of really bad years, it really impacts them significantly, not only on their academic learning, but how they feel emotionally about themselves. So I feel really strongly about creating inclusive schools where every child thrives and we try to meet the needs of all our children.
isn't it?
But Zap, zap.
Yeah, good boy. You got the snap. So who keeps the snap?
Me.
Is it you? What other reasons do you sometimes come out of the classroom?
Because I'm sad sometimes.
What makes you sad?
When people be mean to me.
But sometimes in lessons, do you find it a bit difficult?
It's quite hard.
Where do we go?
We go into the rainbow area.
And do we have a good chat? And try and sort out the problem?
Yeah.
And then do you feel better?
And the biggest thing I think you can do as a teacher is connect with the children. You have to connect with those kids. So really get to know them. Just think about what school life's like for them. And I think if you can spend time getting a little profile on each of your children, then you can be really clear about how you can target your teaching and then identify what you could do to be really, make sure the interventions or whatever you put in place really hit the buttons and make a difference to that child.
If we can help them develop the foundation motor skills that they'll need for the more complicated skills as they get older, if we can do that when they're young through play, through everyday activities, through encouraging them outside on the playground, then they will get those therapeutic experiences without realising that they're doing therapy.
The activities that we use with Ethan can be used with all the other children.
Ready, set, run!
The multisensory approach in the school helps the other children within the classroom. We have movement breaks, so all the children will stand up and do like a wake and shake or get their blood flowing again before sitting down again. So all the children can benefit from those little, 2-minute snaps of activity. So when I first started teaching, it had been really useful to have known that dyspraxic children find tying up their shoelaces, doing up their zips on their coat trickier, and to allow more time for those children.
Like, we're really big as a school. We don't have house points here, we have effort points. So we're really big on praising people's efforts, celebrating what they have achieved. Strategies that I think teachers need to use, it's the language they use with the children. The language is huge.
Remember, one of our targets is what? To write at least how many sentences in a lesson?
2.
2 sentences in every lesson. And you normally go over that, don't you?
Yes.
Because your writing is improving. What do we have to remember when we're writing?
To leave spaces.
Finger spaces, so it doesn't look like one long mumble-jumbled word.
At the beginning and end of the school day, the parents have daily contact with us if necessary. So if one of Ethan's targets is to tie up his shoelaces or to do up his coat, for example, then we're constantly liaising and encouraging the parents to take on board the targets that he's working on and to support the school with his targets.
The Dyspraxia Foundation has a lot of information on the website for teachers in early years, in primary, secondary and post-16 education. Free guidelines, information that can be downloaded and videos. Having tried all of the strategies that we've talked about, if those children are still struggling, then it may be necessary to refer on for further assessment and advice from other professionals.
There are some neat little books that you can buy, and if you're an NQT, hopefully your Senko's got a few little books you can get. But for me, if I was going to spend the time as an NQT, yeah, reading a little bit about it's great, but I think it's about watching those children and thinking about what they need and being creative about how you can deliver that. But I think if you've only got a short period of time, it's really about thinking about those children and being creative about what you can do to make a difference to their lives.